So here we are talking about another Toronto Raptors trade video. Now, it was reported earlier today that Miles Turner and DeAndre Ayton have both been on the Toronto Raptors radars per Jake L. Fisher. So, with this in mind, the Toronto Raptors aren't in the market for basically a true center. And with the team right now being around 20 and 24 over the season and looking at the Eastern Conference standings, standing at around the 11th seed. So they are out of the play-in and the playoffs. They're going to be looking for maybe a win now move or to either completely rebuild, trade all the assets, and just get younger and just start the rebuild now. So today, we're going to be talking about Miles Turner and DeAndre Ayton to the Toronto Raptors. Would they do this move, and how do they move the needle for the Toronto Raptors in the future? So let's get into it right now, talking about the stats for both these guys. So we'll get into Miles Turner first because he's more of an interesting player compared to DeAndre Ayton. And as of right now, Miles Turner in his last couple games has been pretty great. So 17 points per game, 8 rebounds, and around 1 assist on around 56% from the field and 39% from three. He's also throwing in around 2 blocks per game, which is great to see. And in his last 10 games, he's been absolutely killing it. 22 points per game, 8 rebounds, and around 2 assists with 3 blocks per game on around 59% from the field and 33% from three. So Miles Turner, we all know what Miles Turner is capable of. He's a good 3-and-D player at the center position. He's not a guy that can rebound the ball that well, but in terms of holding it down in the interior and being able to put the ball in the bucket, that's all you can really ask for at the center position. So he is also 6'11", 250 pounds. His blocking ability is really the reason why a lot of teams are going to be going for him in the trade market and why the Pacers could look to move him. Now, with the Pacers at 23 and 22, they are still at a contending level, but as of right now, that team is definitely not ready to win, and they can look to trade Miles Turner for some assets that can definitely help them in the future. So, I don't know. This is a very interesting player for the Toronto Raptors. What are they going to be giving up for Miles Turner? Probably a lot, with the Pacers wanting to get younger. So maybe, I don't know, I can't really throw in a lot of guys on the Toronto Raptors because there's a lot of guys on this team that actually have a lot of value. Guys like Precious Achiuwa, OG Anunoby. Scotty Barnes also, he's the franchise for this team. They also got Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. So whenever they do try to trade some guys on the roster, some of these guys are going to have to get cut. So the problem here is that which guys are expendable on the Toronto Raptors, and you can argue whichever guys. I'm not going to stand out here and say which guys are going to be more tradable, but all these guys are essentially on the trade market except for Scotty Barnes. So yeah, you guys can let me know what you guys think about Miles Turner. Him on the Toronto Raptors can definitely help them in the long run. And if they do try to make that type of move, that basically solidifies that they are going to be trying to make a push for the playoffs. So, and honestly, even for DeAndre Ayton too, which we will get into right now, both these guys are pretty much win-now moves, especially with these guys both being pretty great at the center position. DeAndre Ayton, 17 points per game, around 10 rebounds, and around 2 assists on around 58% from the field and 32% from three. So, I don't know, man. With Ayton, you get more offense and more rebounding, but with Miles Turner, you get more defense and more shooting. So, it really depends on how the Raptors want to do this. Miles Turner could probably be the better system match here with the defensive effort and how the Toronto Raptors want to play. But if you want to get a big body in there, get DeAndre Ayton. And he also is a 7-footer, 250 pounds, only 24 years old too. So, yeah, you get younger with DeAndre Ayton. You get a little bit older with Miles Turner, but you get more experience with Miles Turner, and you get a little bit more defensive effort. So, the trade packages for both these guys are going to be a pretty hefty haul. Some first-round picks are going to be included into this package. Maybe a guy like an OG Anunoby. I know Raptors fans like OG for his defensive effort, but he might be a guy that the Toronto Raptors have to trade, or even a guy like Pascal Siakam. I really don't want to throw his name in there. I really don't. But if the Toronto Raptors want to win right now, they're going to have to trade some guys that have some value in return to get some guys that are going to help them win now. So, yeah, you guys let me know what you guys think about this Miles Turner and DeAndre Ayton news. If both these guys turn out to be true for the Toronto Raptors, these could be real game changers for the Toronto Raptors in terms of winning now. I mean, having a Miles Turner in the playoffs, having a DeAndre Ayton in the playoffs can definitely help them in the long run, especially with the Toronto Raptors not having a true center. I mean, they tried to experiment with the small ball lineup with Pascal Siakam at the 5, but I mean, that really took them so far in terms of this season. I mean, being 20 and 24, so they really do need to move up in the ranks. I mean, the Eastern Conference is as competitive as it will be in years. I mean, Boston, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia all being top teams in the East, and even having teams like Cleveland and New York too. I mean, Toronto Raptors, I don't know if they can stack up against these type of teams. So yeah, so you guys let me know what you guys think about the Miles Turner and DeAndre Ayton news. Will you guys do it? Will you guys trade for them? Will you guys return for them? And what would you guys think about the overall trade? So that's the end. I'm JDC, and peace.